Thanks for tuning to Sims Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, today we are going to be reviewing Call of the Dragon by Natasha Bowen. She is someone who did Skin of the Sea, which was an African-American mythological retelling of The Little Mermaid. This one does have a lot of the African-American mythology in it, and I will say for me sometimes that is a little bit of a struggle just because I'm not aware of it. You know, Greek mythology, I grew up on that. You know, my mom studied it in college, so I grew up on Greek mythology. But Norse mythology as well, and Asian mythology. But I think I'm able to enjoy this book so much more than Skin of the Sea. Don't get me wrong, I love that book, but it was really heavy on the mythology, and it required me to do a lot of research on gods and everything. This one, I guess because I've been reading more books that feature African American mythology, I've already learned a lot in my reading. And that's what reading's all about, learning, right? Exposing yourself to other things, right? And I quite love this book. I actually couldn't. It was really hard to put down. I think it was phenomenally written. I think the dragon aspect of it's there, but it's a character-driven novel. It really is. And she has used, and maybe this is another reason why I was able to connect to it. You know, the two dragons are of the earth and the sky. Those are the two dragons. You know, they're where their magic, Inan, comes from, right? They created people, and the way that they're structured in the book kind of reminds me of the way Gaia and Uranus is, without, you know, the rape part. This is a mutual loving relationship between these two dragons. And they always come together once a year in order to purify the land and to continue to connect to their priestesses and give them and strengthen their Inan, right? And it's only the people in this kingdom that have a connection to the Inan and the power that lies within, right? Enter in Moremi. So she's the daughter of the current high priestess. You know, a lot of expectations. Her father was exiled for his beliefs, that instead of being separate, because, you know, priestesses, earth, and then I guess male monks is what I would qualify them. They were like monks. They were of the sky, you know, lived in the mountain for Dom. Yeah, I'm pretty sure his name was Dom. I didn't write the dragon names in my notes, unfortunately. I know, my bad. But for the sky dragon, right? So it was men, women, completely separated, right? But her father had the belief, no, there is a chosen one coming who will harness the power of both. And everyone's like, no, that's sacrilege. They banished him, right? So she has a lot on her shoulders. She feels very insecure, I should say, Moremi. You know, she feels like her feet are too big. You know, she feels very clumsy. She feels unfit. She feels like she is always disappointing her mother and never living up to her mother's expectations of her. You know, she feels very much like she is not worth it. And she's not worthy, and she's very insecure. But then she is the one who is, you know, surprise, surprise, chosen by both of the dragons. She's marked by both of them. And she can harness both of their abilities now. And of course, the king from the land, he wants all the power for himself. And of course, he's being corrupted by someone else. You know, his priest who made a deal with, you know, beings of darkness. Imanu? Or were they the Erububu? I need to take better notes. I just, you know, when I get really into a book, I just kind of forget taking notes. And it was an arc that was sent to me. So I no longer have the arc. I gifted it to my friend. And I'm like, you need to read. Read. So he, you know, creatures of darkness, basically, that ravaged the land. And in doing so, he has injured both of the dragons, and they've gone into seclusion, and they may never come back. So they're like, oh crap, we have to bring the dragons together before the stars are no longer aligned. Otherwise, the world's going to die, right? Moremi goes on the journey. She goes with her childhood friend, who is also her crush, and she goes with the mean girl from her, high priestess school, who has always, in a way, been jealous of her. Cause it's like, you have a high priestess as a mother. I'm an orphan. I'm an orphan. So I had to work even harder to prove myself. And you just kind of get things handed to you. And Moremi's like, no, I don't. I have to work really hard, and I'm always a constant disappointment. So they're going on this journey, and they kind of forged a friendship, because they both start to see each other. So it really is a character-driven novel, and I love character-driven novels. I think they are probably my favorite type of novel. I mean, I love story-based, but I love getting to the core of the characters. I love seeing them tick. And I love, more importantly, seeing them grow. And that's exactly what happens with Moremi. She goes from this insecure girl who thinks she's worthless and, not really any utter disappointment all the time, to this formidable warrior. I mean, by the end of the book, she's a little scary because she's like, no, you will listen to me. And when she puts her foot down, the earth shakes, literally. And it's such a wonderful, transformative journey to see her go. And I love the African mythology that is in this story. And I felt like it was more accessible to me, because it was there. But I think with Skin of the Sea, it was just so prominent that I just kind of got a little bit confused. Whereas with this one, I feel like she took inspiration from African mythology and she made it her own to create her own mythology, but without losing the roots. I think that was really, really well done. So for people like me who are like unfamiliar with a lot of African mythology, I'm not getting lost and it's easier for me to follow. But it makes me like interested to learn more. I love books that make me want to learn more. But it was such a powerful story. The pacing was so well done. I think the characterization, like I said, is top tier. I love Moremi's transformative journey. I love how she goes from being kind of meek to this fierce warrior that you should fear. You should fear her. Do not doubt her and do not get in her way, because she will stomp you out and she will take you down. I love the world building as well. The world building was very concise. I was able to ground myself in this world and really see myself in this world. I could follow these characters on their journey to get from point A to point B to point C, on their journey to find the dragons. And there's so much that happens, and there's a lot of heartbreak, and there's, more beings that are introduced, and it's so fascinating to me. It was just such a wonderful story. I didn't want to put it down. It was very, very hard to put down. I'm like, crap, I have to put the book down now. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. It was really just such an amazing novel. I absolutely loved it. Every minute. No notes. Perfect. It was amazing. I'm actually really hoping, the way it ended, there has to be a book 2. There has to be. And if there is no book 2, I will be very disappointed. Because I want more. I want more of Moremi. I want to see more of this world. The way that ended, I can't spoil it for you, but it was just like, holy shit, this is awesome. And I love this. And I need more. I need more from it, honestly. I hope that there's going to be a sequel. If this is the first of something. Duology, trilogy, quartet, something. I just need a follow-up. Desperately. So, pick it up. You will not be disappointed. Absolutely loved it. No notes. On any case, thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.